Good morning, sports fans. You're listening to 96.9 FM WHYR LP Baton Rouge Community Radio.
This is Garrett Hatfield along with Coach Perry Daniels, and we are here to bring you the latest, the greatest, the best, and the most entertaining in high school, college, and professional sports. You are listening to Louisiana All-American Sports. All right, good morning, Baton Rouge. It's another beautiful, no, that's not beautiful, it's gray outside. But it is Saturday morning, and it's 11 a.m., which means it's time for Louisiana All-American Sports. This is Garrett Hatfield.
And I'm Perry Daniels.
And it's time for another exciting, scintillating week of sports. We are in the Yuletide season, the Yuletide spirit, and we are ready for another week. There's a lot going down right now in the world of, in the world of professional sports. Not so much a whole lot going on in college sports, though we do have a little bit of that for you today. So we're just going to jump right into it and get hot and heavy. Perry, what were your reflections in the last week before we kick it off?
Oh, man, it's been a crazy little week. You know, we finally know who's the best player in college sports.
Yeah.
You know, we have a Heisman determination.
There's a big surprise.
We also, we had the fiasco in my hometown that I'm sure we're going to hear about today.
I told you, man. I told you. If you want to get on the conversation, 343-9927, area code 225-343-9927 if you'd like to get in on the discussion.
Man, I can't believe that. And, you know, we had some developments on the high school scene.
Absolutely.
And let's start off there. Last night, Scotlandville Hornets and the McKinley Panthers hooked up again on the hardwood. And once again, Scotlandville comes out victorious. Last night's score, 57-43.
Boy, Scotlandville has just had McKinley's number, haven't they?
Not just McKinley's number, Eric. They've had everyone's number. Yeah. Scotlandville is now 15-0. They applied a lot of pressure on the McKinley guards last night, caused a lot of turnovers. The starting guard for McKinley had 4 fouls in the first quarter. To me, you know, I can't figure out how a coaching staff allows your starter to get 4 fouls in the first quarter. But
that's amazing.
You know, hey, I wasn't there, didn't quite see how it went down, but it went down that way.
Well, you know, sometimes, Perry, and you know this as a coach, sometimes it's easy to fall into the trap of kind of the opposite of diminishing returns, where you're like, 1 foul, whatever. 2 fouls, you're going to take your chances, and then you just kind of keep chasing, and then you guys in trouble.
Oh, man, but in the first quarter, my starter gets 2, man. He's sitting until, you know, as long as I possibly can sit it.
That's brutal.
Well, anyway, you know, again, I'm not in the habit of criticizing high school coaches. Right. Because I know that's not an easy job.
Righto.
But McKinley ended up with 12 turnovers. They were down 21-29 at the half, and from there, Scotlandville just kind of ran away with it. McKinley is now 9-4 on the season. They lost 2 games this week. Not only did they lose to Scotlandville last night, but they lost to Southern Lab earlier in the week. So, going to the top 5 teams in the local area. Let me get back there. I do know that Scotlandville is ranked number 1.
There's a surprise.
in the area. And I want to say that McKinley's number 2. I'm waiting on that to pull up. We'll get to that in just a moment. No, actually, WHYR is number 2. McKinley's number 3. And rounding out that top 5, we have...
Drum roll.
As I'm finding it, searching through.
We have somebody apparently that. No, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say apparently not worthy of your remembering it, but no, that's not cool. If you're top 5, you're worthy of something.
Right. And it's tough. Oh, you know who it is?
Who's that?
Port Allen Pelicans.
Good, our friend Coach Ricard. We brought on LouisianaAllAmericanSports.com, brought you the Port Allen Pelicans in a very exciting win over Christian Life earlier this year. We're going to get a lot more. You're going to get, let me just give you guys a preview for you high school basketball fans out there, for you friends that just have to keep chasing that pink dragon for your sports if you don't see what you like on ESPN or over the air. We're going to give you a lot of Port Allen Pelicans this year. We're going to give you a lot of McKinley this year, although we weren't there last night. A lot of the Yuletide rush just kind of conflicted with that, and you're going to get a healthy dose of Southern Lab and, of course, the Bel Air Bengals and their opponents. So you're going to get a lot of good high school basketball in 2014 on Louisiana-All-American-Sports.com. And the Port Allen Pelicans, I'll tell you, are worth the price of admission. They are fun to watch, Perry.
They are, Eric. They've lost their last 2 games, though. They lost to Bruley by 9
the
points.
Civil War.
Right. For those of you listening around the country, both of those schools are on the West Bank side of the Baton Rouge area, and they're about 8 miles apart.
Right.
And they really don't like each other.
And like we always say on this show, familiarity breeds contempt.
That's right. So Bruley got the best of Port Allen in their last matchup, beating them by 9 points. And Port Allen also lost to Dunham by 9. So they're on a bit of a lull right now. But I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Right.
And do their thing.
And those are good schools. Bruley's always very good, and so is Dunham. Perry, I wanted to ask you, we had very briefly touched on this young man last week. Is Coco Simmons still with Bruley, or is he at another school now?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, I know we had talked about him a little bit, and anyway, I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt.
And rounding out the top 5 is the Madison Prep Chargers.
And for those of you for those of you that have followed us before our days on the radio, we were the exclusive provider of Madison Prep Chargers basketball. They are the reigning champions in Class B, but are now playing in, is it Class Single A? Single A. Very well coached team with head coach Jeff Jones there at Madison Prep.
And right now, Madison Prep has a tournament going on, their annual tournament, which should be interesting to see how they develop from there. Madison Prep is currently 8-1. Their only loss is to Dutchtown. So
that's a good loss.
That's a decent loss,
right?
You know, rounding out the top. Well, that is the top 5. Just outside of the top 5, you have Terra at 7-3, East Ascension's 8-5, St. Michael is 11-2, Dutchtown's 8-2, Donaldsonville's 8-3, Christian Life is 6-3, and Dunham is 10-3. Bruley's right behind them at 7-5.
So that will round out our high school wrap-up. Also, really briefly, I just want to mention, we touched on it last week, East Jeff versus Carr in the Class 4A championship, was it 5A championship? And East
not 5.
That was 4A.
Yes.
Sorry about that. And East Jeff was victorious.
Can't believe it.
First Jefferson Parish Public School to win the state championship in I want to say 1985-86 was the last time, but congratulations to East Jefferson High School.
And Eric, before we move away from high school sports, one more basketball score. Last night, the Bel Air Bengals beat the Broadmoor Bucks 67-48.
All right.
And that makes Bel Air 7-5 on the season.
Well, Bel Air showing a pulse this year.
And have a number 6 ranking in the EBR tournament, which is coming up next week, starting the day after Christmas, the 26th. And taking it a little personal that the newspaper has no mention of the Bel Air Bengals in their top teams report.
Well, now, what was their record last year?
5-25.
Wow. How many wins did they have?
5. Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5.
And how many games have they lost this year so far?
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5.
Well, that sounds like a heck of a turnaround, in my opinion.
Hey,
Bill Cosby agrees too. Or is that Eddie Murphy?
and look, last year, out of those 25 losses, 5 of them were by 50 points. And 5 more were by 40.
So I feel very, very comfortable in saying that that this was definitely a turnaround for the Bel Air Bengals, and we will be covering them on Louisiana All-American Sports this year. So we're going to come back in about 90 seconds. Let me give you guys a preview of what we have coming up. First of all, the number, you should know it by now, 343-9927, area code 225-343-9927 if you want to get on the air and rap with Coach Perry Daniels and myself. We're going to talk about a few things, though. Obviously, we are going to talk about the National Football League. There's a lot of pro football news, frankly, that's been going and coming. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. We're also going to touch on some of the lighter side of sports. Some fans who are putting explain how the word fan becomes the word fanatic. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. You are listening to 96.9 FM WHYR Baton Rouge Community Radio. This is Louisiana All-American Sports. All right, we are back here on 96.9 FM WHYRLP Baton Rouge Community Radio. You are listening to the Louisiana All-American Sports Show. I am Eric Hatfield along with Coach Perry Daniels. So, the word fan is short for fanatic. And most of us who are sports savvy probably know that already. Most of us that just flip the tube on a couple of times a month for gatherings might be news to you. We have all kinds of sports fans on WHYR. By the way, 225-343-9927, 225-343-9927 if you'd like to get in on the conversation. But, we had one fan who is from the University of Alabama, and if you remember a couple of weeks ago, Alabama kind of had a little bit of a setback as they lost to Auburn University and their opportunity to win back-to-back SEC West championships, a chance to defend their SEC championship, and a chance to, win a third straight BCS championship game, though I've always had opinions on the legitimacy of that, but that's neither here nor there. That went up in smoke. That went up in flames last week as... the Auburn Tigers pulled off the mother of finishes. They returned a kickoff, a failed field goal attempt, 109 yards back for a touchdown. Officially 100 yards. College does not count the back of the end zone. But a caller from Alabama took a lot of exception with Colin Cowherd, who is a national talk show host, and he said earlier in the year that Gus Malzahn and Auburn, the way they were developing, could give Nick Saban and Alabama some fits and some frustration over the years.
Gus Malzahn being the head coach of the Auburn Tigers.
Correct. And, it looks like Colin was right. And if you ever listen to Colin Cowherd's show on ESPN Radio, he always starts with Colin was right, Colin was wrong. Well, there was an Alabama fan named Phyllis from Mulga, Alabama. She's called a lot of national talk shows. She's kind of made herself to a talk show celebrity. Well, she made herself a YouTube sensation last week. Check this out, folks. Hello? Come on, Phyllis. It's not on.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Oh. Okay, folks, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let's try that again. Here's Phyllis from Mulga. And in 3, 2, 1.
Actually, Phyllis is up next. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Hello, Paul.
Hi there.
I don't know where this guy is coming from. He must have been calling you from Malzahn's office.
He's a pretty probably the most talented talk show host in the country.
Well, he's the biggest ass kisser I've ever heard in my life. Hey, cow turd, let me tell you something. You don't get on here and kiss one side of this state and then run the other down. Alabama is where they're at because of their hard work and all the things that they've had to do to climb this ladder. And then Auburn comes along, and yes, they're a good team. I won't take that away from them. But they come along, and they beat Alabama, and there were some questions about that game. And if you're going to tell the truth, you got to tell the truth, because there were questions about the Alabama-Auburn game. We had them beat. And there is no freaking way that Malzahn, been there, a year, is going to come in and start beating the hell out of Alabama, especially with Nick Saban at the helm. At work ethic. You go down there and you get out there in the pasture, cowherd, and you do what you want to do.
Phyllis,
you shut the hell up about Alabama.
He doesn't. He's a commentator. He doesn't need you or anyone else to tell him what he can or can't say. I mean, he simply said Gus Malzahn is going to wreak havoc for Alabama fans. He said Gus Malzahn and Auburn will win next year in Tuscaloosa. He said Saban has been exposed. I mean, that's exactly what he said.
He's been talking to Danny Cannell. He's a psychic, too.
Yeah. Phyllis.
You know what, though,
Phyllis.
Eric? I'm
Kyle Turd.
I'm not, I don't like the fanatical stance that we in our society take regarding our sports. I've mentioned on this show before that position, that sports brings out a little too much passion in us on things that we really have no control over.
Right.
And even sometimes I fall victim to it.
Well, yeah, we all do.
Right. Exactly.
That's why we're here.
Exactly. But I don't see much wrong with what she stated there.
Perry, that's because I edited this.
Oh, okay.
This rant went about 6 minutes long. Phyllis from Mulga is very cow turd. I mean, she's not. There are a lot of stereotypes about the South, and particularly the old Bob. Your Alabama, South Carolina. How should I put this? States in the South that don't have real cities. And she just kind of reinforced all of them that Gus Malzahn came here, and you're going to kiss up to one side of the state. My God. Well, anyway, she became an internet sensation. You can Google or go to YouTube and search Phyllis from Mulga for the straight fire, the straight dope, uncut. But boy, oh boy, I think Alabama people call me crazy, but they're not too crazy about the fact. I think they're having a little trouble accepting the fact that they're no longer the reigning SEC champions.
No, but I understand it because, in my humble opinion, they are still the best football team in the country. Now, they lost to Auburn.
I have one word, Perry.
Yeah.
Scoreboard.
Right. Well, but Auburn lost to a lowly LSU team that ended up with 3 losses. So
the lowly ranked LSU team.
But here they're playing for the national championship. So both teams have 1 loss.
Yeah, and the one loss that Alabama had came to the team that beat them.
That Auburn, right? I understand that. So
I guess I take this a little personally. Let me some background. Everyone remembers a couple of years ago when LSU lost to Alabama in the national championship game, and no doubt LSU was completely outplayed, outcoached, outmanned, out physical that night. But Alabama didn't win their division. And LSU won their division, beat a very good Georgia team that could have easily been in the national title game themselves that year. And Alabama gets a handout and is put in the national title game by the press because the press wanted them there, in my opinion. And
no, I could understand that argument if LSU beats Alabama.
But they did.
Night. But they didn't.
They did. They beat them in Alabama.
But not in the national championship.
But why do you even get an invite? Why do you get an invite?
Because they were viewed by the experts as the best team in the country. It was proven that night.
So let me ask you a question. It was proven in Alabama that LSU was better. So
at that time.
So you get a split? No rubber match like in baseball, and no game was ever played at Tiger Stadium. We beat Alabama in their house. They beat us at a neutral site. So how's that fair? It's not. LSU was 13, had a better record. They were 13. They finished season 13-1. Alabama finished 12-1. How are they? I could go. I could go down a rabbit hole with that all day.
And that's the beauty of the new system that's ushered in. That now we're going to have a quasi playoff in the FCS.
Right.
So hopefully,
you mean the FBS?
FBS bowl series. Yes, that's correct. In the FBS, we're going to have a semi-playoff that is going to eliminate some of this argument. And if you take the top 4 teams in the country, Alabama would still have a shot to prove that they are the best team in the country.
And if they had done that, if they had won a semifinal and then advanced to a final, I could have lived with that. But just to skip Alabama over Georgia, skip them over Oklahoma State, who won the Big 12.
You're still going back to...
Oh, I'm not over that. I'm not over that. The way...
let's talk about this.
All right, go ahead. I'm saying good for them. Karma's a you-know-what.
Oh, so it's not about Alabama being the best team in the country this year. It's about what happened 2-3 years ago when LSU...
Well, actually, I mean, the way the system has is that 2 best teams play, and Alabama's not one of them.
Well, according to this current system, I agree with what's transpired. I disagree with the system.
I agree.
The current system.
Look, as a sports, all things equal, taking my personal bias, which if you can't tell is slopping over to this morning, out of it. No, I agree. I think the play-in, the +1 system we'll have next year, I think, is the right way to go. So Alabama, you'll get a chance to prove yourself next year, even if you fail to beat Auburn again, Phyllis. So,
hey, but if you beat everybody else, Alabama, you're still right there.
Oh boy! Hopefully LSU is in that discussion next year. Let's go, Anthony Jennings. All right. So now that I've beaten that dead horse sufficiently, let's go on to our beloved New Orleans Saints. The Saints have a very big game coming up right now. They are going to play the Carolina Panthers on Sunday at 12 o'clock our time at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is in all probability, the de facto NFC South Championship game. And for all the talking Saints fans and Panthers fans have done and NFL pundits, somebody will be right, somebody will be wrong, and somebody will have an opportunity to say, I told you so, after next week. Hopefully those will be the Who Dat Nation, the black and gold. But before we talk about the Saints and Panthers, let's look at where perhaps you, the audience, could tell us I told you so, or we could tell some other folks I told you so, as we have our regular segment, I Told You So, 343-9927, 225-343-9927, if you would like to get in on the action.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
Ground. Just ridiculous. I mean, it's like a video game watching this kid every week. And this was in spite of some potential distractions with the investigation, and I won't go into any more details on that because it doesn't deserve it. He didn't do anything. The cops decided he didn't do anything wrong, but he even got sharper and more focused, and tells me football's his sanctuary. This guy is going to win tonight. And when you just put up stat lines like that, and you start blowing people to smithereens, and you bring the ACC and Florida State back into relevance, they're now one win away from a national championship. To me, it's a slam dunk. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
Oh yeah, the Saints do have a game coming up, and actually the Fox Sports team has moved this game to the 3 o'clock slot, which just goes to show you how much respect they have because their opponent ain't the greatest team in the world. The Saints have got
I'm wondering if the Saints canceled practice this week because of the team that they're playing.
No.
I think the Saints should go in and win that game, but I do think the Rams are going to make them sweat a little bit.
Do you?
I do. I think they're going to win, but I think the Rams are going to. That defense is good, Perry. I think they're going to make us work for it.
Man, I've watched the Rams play from what I could stomach, but there's the Rams?
Yeah, I hear you. Excuse me. Moving down.
Noel Jackson. Music satisfaction.
The thing that when you hear New England and Miami, the neurons in your head might be like, come on, that's going to be that should be no contest. But New England over the years, during the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick regime, has had trouble with the Dolphins. I'm sure the travel has something to do with it. It is hot in Miami, even in December now. So Tom Brady is going to have to make miracles, like he always makes.
And they're a very proud organization, and they show their pride when they play the Patriots.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, you think?
I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from not surprise.
So, sticking with the New Orleans theme, and the New Orleans themed I Told You So, and boy, you want to talk about a time, Perry, where I wish I was 100% wrong. I said the Rams would make us sweat. I guess, actually, I was kind of wrong on that because they really didn't make us sweat. That was a foregone conclusion by the halftime. We'll touch on that catastrophe in just a few minutes.
Man.
But talking about the city, and by the way, 225-343-9927, 225-343-9927, if you'd like to get in on the action and talk with us on Louisiana All-American Sports. But yeah, New Orleans. Before we jump into the big New Orleans story, there's definitely a local college, or a Louisiana college story that we should discuss because we have a call in. Go ahead, pick it up. And let's see what we got here on Louisiana All-American Sports. We got a special guest. Is that our friend? We have a special guest, a regular. If you listen to the show, we'll talk about the New Orleans Bowl in New Orleans today very shortly. But we have our buddy. He's live on the air right now. He should be in your headphones, Perry. We have our friend, the Fixer, and coming in from St. Louis, Missouri, our guy with the Las Vegas connections. Fixer, got to get him his intro music. What's going on this morning, Mr. Fixer? And
Hey, G, what you got this morning, man?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Man, your homeboys did it to us last week, man.
Well, I was kind of listening to you talk all that, and I just kind of figured you didn't realize I was from St. Louis, so I just had to tell you that.
didn't realize that you only lived around the corner. But I didn't think you were gonna be working that game, though, man. You know,
I knew it. I knew
to humble you up a little bit. I figured you'd be all right now.
Yeah. All right, so what's going on in Vegas, man? Talk to us. Tell us about.
Well, we got a few little Louisiana games here. We're gonna open up with the New Orleans Bowl.
All right, talk to us about the New Orleans Bowl.
Yeah, the New Orleans Bowl. They giving they giving UL-Lafayette 2.5 points here. I guess they're assuming that Tulane is the home team, so the home team is for 3 points.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're giving UL-Lafayette 2.5 points.
Okay.
Would I take that? No, that's a teaser.
Okay. All right. So you said take Tulane and give the 2.5 points.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right. And then our next game here is we got the Pelicans in Portland.
All right.
Oh, boy, I'm afraid to hear this. Portland, for those of you out there that might not follow basketball till the spring, Portland is not last year's Portland team. There's some bad mother shut your mouths.
They are on fire right now, man.
They are.
Tell us what's going on with that game, G.
Well, the line is 9. They're giving the Pelicans 9.
Is that in New Orleans or here?
No, it's actually in Portland.
Oh, okay.
It's in Portland. That is a super teaser. The Pelicans won't come nowhere close to 9 points with the number 2 team in the league. It just won't happen.
I'm going to disagree with you there, but go ahead.
Ooh.
Well, that's okay. I can handle that.
All right, you just keep listening after you get off the air, and I'm going to tell you why. Go ahead, G.
Hey, and then our next game is we're going to finish it up with the NFL. The Saints and the Panthers. The Saints, I don't know which team plans on showing up, but Vegas says that it will be last week's team because they're giving the Saints 3 points. So I am going to say I believe it's going to be the same team that showed up last week that showed us true colors. So I think the Panthers will win by more than 3 points. So I'm taking the Panthers.
You're taking the Panthers. All right, G. Hey, we sure appreciate you, man. You know the routine, man. Stay off the grid, stay out of jail. I'll holler at you later.
All right.
For sure. Peace.
St. Louis in the building. That was the Fixer.
All right, man, let me tell you why. I think that he's wrong on the Portland game.
Give me some cause for optimism. I'd love to hear it, Perry.
See, because the Pelicans coach,
right, Monty
Williams, has
not to be confused with Montel Williams, though they look a lot alike,
has said that Aldridge, the power forward for the Trailblazers, is the best power forward in the NBA.
I don't agree with that, but I could respect that argument.
And what that has done in the past, that has challenged the Pelicans' young power forward,
Mr. Anthony Davis, Mr. Unibrow, right? I'm following you here now.
to play a fantastic game every time he plays against Auburn.
That's his rival.
Right.
You know, a little bit of an older rival, too.
Right. And when he plays well, the Pelicans play well.
Let me tell you, when the Pelicans are healthy, when a couple of things, when they're healthy and also when one of them has their mind right, when Anthony Davis is healthy, when Austin Rivers is healthy, and when Eric Gordon is healthy and his mind is where it needs to be in the game, and it certainly doesn't hurt when Ryan Anderson's nailing his shots when he's hot.
Right.
The Pelicans, look, they're only 2.5 games back of the last spot in the if the season ended today, they'd be 2.5 games back of the last playoff spot in the West, which is currently held by the Denver Nuggets and a trio of other teams. The Hornets season, it isn't doomed like it's been the last couple of years before they got out of the gate.
Pelicans.
Oh, Lord. Thank you, Perry. Oh, I did it again. The Pelicans, thank you, are not doomed like they were when they were the Hornets the last couple of years. That's what I was trying to tongue twist out there. That could be interesting. When those guys are right, they play very well. You know, they just play well against Portland. It could be a big confidence booster. You never know where it could go.
Exactly. Now, they're currently 0-2 on this West Coast swing.
Right.
But I really think they're going to get out of this slump. If they don't come out victorious against Portland, I think it'll be a very, very close game.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I would like to see the Pelicans,
Yes.
keep on, just continue to improve. And that's what they've done the last couple of years, and they've really shown a difference this year. So I wish them the best of luck in that game against Portland. I hope the fixer's off.
So we'll be right back right after this break.
Stick around, 60 seconds, 343-9927, 343-9927. If you'd like to get in on the action, you are listening to Louisiana All-American Sports on 96.9 WHYR, Baton Rouge Community Radio.
And all I want for Christmas is the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Glad you stopped me. Oh boy, if only, man. The Saints in the Super Bowl. We've experienced that. We've been blessed enough to experience that once before, and hopefully we get blessed with that again. The Saints in the Super Bowl. So,
Thanks to Kermit Ruffin.
yes, sir. So, the New Orleans Bowl. All Louisiana bunch.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the first game, the first bowl game, first of 17 bowl games. No, I'm correct. That's not correct. It's a lot more than 17.
Oh, it's got to be 30 or 40. It seems like.
That's not correct.
I'm going to say. I'm going to throw out a wild number and just say 50 out there.
I'm going to get you an exact number. 35 bowl games.
Okay. Whoops.
Over 17 days.
Woo-wee.
And they all start off in New Orleans tonight with the New Orleans Bowl.
So we're kicking it off in the Big Easy.
That's right. And there are a number of Louisiana kids playing tonight on national television. So the country will have an opportunity to see how well some of our players that don't go to LSU play football.
So what are some of our key standouts in that, our key notables in that game tonight?
Well, Alonzo Harris for the Raging Cajuns. He's got 9 touchdowns, and for the Tulane Green Wave, you got the quarterback Nick Montana.
Who that name sounds a little familiar to you? He's related to Joe Cool, Joe Montana. That's Joe Montana's son.
Right. So this is going to be a tremendous football game. I'm thinking it's about the Raging Cajuns, ULL's run game against Tulane's defense. Both teams have lost a couple of games in a row. This is the last game for the Tulane Green Wave in the Superdome, a regular game in the Superdome. They may be back there next year in a bowl game as they transition into what was formerly known as the Big East.
Right.
So
it's the AAC, the American
Right.
Athletic Conference. Thank you, Perry.
American Athletic Conference.
See, 2 heads are better than one there.
So Tulane will be in that conference next year. The Raging Cajuns, the ULL team, has won the last 2 New Orleans Bowls. So they're trying to go for 3 in a row. Their starting quarterback Terrence Broadway, who prepped at Capitol High here in Baton Rouge, is injured, will not play. So that's going to hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, that's disappointing, too.
Yeah.
That could have been a nice matchup of QBs.
Right. Broadway was having a heck of a year. He was Sun Belt Player of the Year twice this season. So, another local player is Julius Wormsley for the Tulane Green Wave. He prepped at St. Michael the Archangel here in Baton Rouge. So this should be a fantastic football game here. Tulane has 56 Louisiana kids playing for them.
Good.
ULL has 52 Louisiana kids playing for them. So it's an old neighborhood brawl.
Oh, the crawfish, the gumbo, the fedo doche. Woo!
So the rest of the country, tune in tonight, man. You're going to see some Louisiana kids really playing some football. It's the New Orleans Bowl.
Ooh, shoot 'em, ooh la la. Ooh la la versus Tulane. Go Cajuns, I hate the Green Wave. All right. But I hope everyone's nice and healthy in that game. All right. So now that we're talking about the city of New Orleans, well, let's face facts. We got a huge game. There's been a lot developing for our beloved black and gold, for our New Orleans Saints over the last week. The critical game coming up with Carolina this weekend, they got absolutely mollywopped, just spanked by the St. Louis Rams. They looked I don't have to be a pro football. I don't have to be a high school coach to see they were unprepared. They were probably not focused in film session. They probably were a little lax in conditioning. They were probably hearing their position coaches and not listening to them. They looked awful against the Rams. They fell into a classic trap game. And I said last week on this show, man, this is even if the Saints did what they were supposed to do. The Rams' defense is good. The Rams' defense ate them whole. But then Kellen Clemens looked like maybe Kellen Winslow IV playing quarterback. In other words, he looked like a real pro football player who could kick a little butt.
Hey, man, the phone calls and the texts were non-stop Sunday evening after that game.
Oh, yeah.
From my people back in the Lou. But one of them was really interesting, Eric, and one said that, hey, matchups make fights.
That's right.
And the Rams have always matched up well against the Saints.
Always, historically, even back to when they were in the old NFC West.
Yep. Exactly. And
they were the LA Rams.
That's right. So that shouldn't have been surprising to anyone.
Not to me.
It wasn't to you. It was to me, because I just thought that the Saints would be a lot more focused than they came out. Here's what's really troublesome to me, Eric. This is the second road game where the Saints looked like they just didn't show up.
Yeah. They looked like the inferior team. They looked like an inferior team with an inferior record.
That's right.
And that's just. It's one thing to like when they lost to New England on the road. That was a slugfest of two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I didn't like the end. No Saints fan did, but I could live with it because of what they both played well and someone had to lose.
Right. Same thing with Seattle. I mean, they didn't play well against Seattle,
right.
but you know how with.
Seattle's probably the best team in the league right now, and when they're in that at Quest Field, oh my God, they're just. We've seen them, so I could stomach that.
Right.
They beat the 49ers to death too, and the 49ers are the defending NFC champs.
Right.
But that on Sunday. Even if you play down a little, fall behind early, you got to find a way to win that game.
You've got to find a way to win. If you're going to be a dominant team, which has me concerned about tomorrow.
Me too.
You'd like to think that they're going to get it together. They're going to come out more focused, but the track record on the road doesn't show that. And the Carolina Panthers are playing well. And what's even more troublesome is that if they don't pull it out tomorrow, then now you're looking at going on the road in the playoffs.
More likely than not. You said they were doing what? Going on the road?
Going on the road in the playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
I think Jim Mora's incredulity might be justified if they don't win that game tomorrow. It's still possible, although it was a volcano and mushroom cloud of things would have to happen. But the Saints could still miss the playoffs.
They still could.
Not likely. Probably not going to happen.
But
they could go on the road.
The caveat in their pocket is they've got Tampa Bay at home.
Right, they have Tampa Bay at home, and also Arizona plays Seattle this weekend. If Seattle wins that game, Saints are in no matter what. Also, if Arizona wins that game, the Saints win. They still have a hope at getting that number one seed.
Right.
So the Saints are. Probably, but we've seen weird things happen. These are the Saints.
Right. And the Carolina Panthers are playing very, very well.
They are, but you know what though? I'm going to get into that very shortly. The one caveat is the one game in the last 10 weeks they did not play well and they didn't look like a team at all. Was against the Saints.
Because the Saints look superhuman in the Superdome.
They do, but the game is about matchups. You still got to snap the ball, still got to play the game. But after that game in L.A. last week, just like in corporate America, I'm sure of all you listening, probably at least half of you have been fired from a job at some point in life. Sometimes it's for money, sometimes it's for performance. But the higher the stakes, the less margin for error you have. The Saints released cornerback Chris Carr, starting left tackle Charles Brown, who was in 2010 was a second-round draft pick out of USC. He was benched. He was completely owned by the Rams' right defensive end, number 94. I cannot remember his name, but he swallowed him whole and spit him out. But, a very special player in Saints history, really. Was released this week. We have a very short, I guess, tribute or transition we'd like to make, and then we're going to talk about that shortly. If you want to get in on this, 343-9927, 343-9927. Get it in the next 5 minutes, folks. By the way, at 12 o'clock noon, we have coming up on 96.9 WHYR Baton Rouge Community Radio, Noel Jackson, Music Satisfaction. Coming up.
Combine his career, regular and postseason, he's 23 of 25. Hartley sends the Saints to the Super Bowl.
3-year history. And how ironic was it that this morning in the paper that Garrett Hartley was talking about that, the pressure that's on kickers, the number of field goals that have been missed in the postseason.
There have been a lot of them. Saints fans don't want to see another. Snap, placement, kicked by Hartley, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Pigs have flown. Hell is frozen over. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl.
Garrett Hartley, place kicker, in his 6th year with the Saints out of the University of Oklahoma University, was signed as an undrafted rookie free agent. Cannon for a leg, kicked a lot of game-winning field goals for the Saints over the years, but he was released after Sunday's catastrophe. Al Pacino said in the movie Any Given Sunday, I'll censor this, if you're going to mess up big, use your imagination there. Well, Garrett Hartley did that on his way out.
He did that.
36-yard field goal was blocked, not because of a missed assignment on the line, but because he put it on a low trajectory. You usually only see for 55-yarders. For desperation kicks, it was easily blocked. And then on a kick that would have brought the Saints to within one touchdown of the Rams with just about 2 minutes to go, and the Saints had a timeout left, so you had the hope of the onside kick and maybe even getting the ball back if that failed, and he duck hooked it. I think it hit the side judge or hit his mom maybe in the stands. It went out of bounds or something. It was the most ugly thing you'd ever seen in your life.
Right.
So Garrett Hartley was given his walking papers, and he's been a part of some big moments over the years, but here's a telling stat. Following after the year from 2010 and beyond, Garrett Hartley, his field goal percentage from beyond 40 yards was 82%. From beyond 50 yards, it was 85%. Do you know what his overall average is for everything? 81%. Now, for those of you that aren't math majors, aren't big into percentages, what that means is he had a poorer percentage under 40 yards in his career with the Saints for the last 4 seasons than he did for the long ones. The pressure, no problem, ice in his veins. For the chip shot, it's like he just crumpled up or wasn't focused. I don't even know how to describe it, but he had to go.
Hey, yeah, thank you for your service.
Thanks for the memories.
Next one up.
Yeah, Shane Graham, veteran kicker, 36 years old, spent most of his career with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's lost a little range, but he's dead on balls accurate, under 40 yards, and that's what the Saints have been missing. They can't afford to miss those cheapies. I think it's probably cost us some games this year. So let's go ahead and jump into our NFL talk, our NFL lineup. As let's talk about the Saints and the Panthers, what we have going on.
Yeah. Hey, man, I don't know where to go on this game, Eric.
Yeah.
It's like the fixer said, it's like you don't know which Saints team is going to show up.
You don't. You really don't. I mean, you know, on one hand, the Saints completely owned the Panthers in the Superdome, and it's the only bet. This is what I had, and this is my thoughts, and a couple of things. You can look into a little more insight on Garrett Hartley, and also my preview of this game on my blog, The Daily Hat Trick. You can go to www.thedailyhattrick.com. That's www.thedailyhattrick.com for some deeper insight on this. But you know, the Panthers, it looks like they have everything lined up right? You're in the 6-1 at home in Bank of America Stadium. The Saints got smashed. You know, the Panthers now control their destiny again. They didn't do that. Panthers, the last 10 games, have only lost once, but as I alluded to before the Garrett Hartley piece, that one loss was to the Saints, and it wasn't close in the Superdome like, say, the 49ers game or some other ones. They blasted the Panthers. The Panthers could get nothing going in their passing game whatsoever. Drew Brees was, you know, Carolina has a fine defense. As I said, I still believe they have the best front seven in the NFL on defense, but Drew Brees was able to go through them like a knife through hot butter. Now, that defense is going to have a 12th man on their side in Bank of America Stadium. They're going to have the crowd, but still, that's not going to change. You know, a crowd noise only affects the opposing defense so much, and Cam Newton really looked like he was befuddled. Rex Ryan, you know, executed his exotic blitz packages. They really frustrated the Panthers. They weren't able to get anything going. So, you know, there could be... the other thing, too, is the Saints have not lost back-to-back games under Sean Payton since their Super Bowl winning year of 2009. And remember, actually one of them was a mail-in game to the Panthers when their number one seed was already secured. So, you know, good teams after a loss are going to have a laser-like focus. Now, Garrett Hartley, cut. Chris Carr, cut. Charles Brown, benched. You're in Saints camp. Remember I talked about earlier how
Charles Brown's was the starting left tackle right, for the New Orleans Saints.
Right, now Torian Armstead, the rookie, second-round pick out of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, actually.
Hey, swag.
Yes, sir. He will be getting the start. So if you're a Saints player, you know, I said some of these guys might not have been focused, might not have paid enough attention in film session, might have dogged it on some conditioning. You think they're doing that this week when, number one, your season's on the line, and now it's clear your job's on the line if you don't do what you're supposed to do. In the words of Donald Trump, you're fired if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
But I think the same type of pressure's on Carolina, and I think they have a lot of pride. They're not looking to what happened against the Saints to happen again. They're at home. I'm going to go with Carolina on this one.
Carolina's favored. I think the line is justified in this based on what we've seen, the fact that Carolina's at home. This is just this is kind of, remember I said a couple of weeks ago how I picked the Patriots over the Panthers on Monday Night Football on Tom Brady's good credit. Of course, that was bad credit right there. But nonetheless, it was just a gut feeling, and it was very close. My gut just tells me, in spite of the logic, that the Saints are going to win this football game. The Saints do not lose back-to-back games very often. I just think here's what I think. The Saints' defense, at their best, show what they could do to Cam Newton, and Drew Brees at his best even though Cam Newton's an MVP candidate right now, Drew Brees at his best I think is better than Cam Newton at his best anywhere, and I think that focus is going to be so sharp after teammates got whacked last week, after they were embarrassed, and this is their season right here. They got off to too good of a start. Call me crazy. This is definitely going to be an I told you so segment for next week. One of us got to be wrong.
That's right.
You know,
but it's a pick'em type game.
It is. I think the Saints are going to win. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right, just like I wish I was wrong last week about the Rams. So, right, you know, that is going to be, it's going to be good. Hopefully it's going to be good.
Right. Hey, man, look, I'm excited because, you know, I've got today off, no basketball practice this morning. I've got a little energy, and today at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be able to check out my first LSU basketball game of the season, man. I'm going to go down there and check them out. They're playing UAB today at 4 o'clock in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center.
With our man, Jarrell Martin. Is Jarrell going to play?
He's going to play. Oh, yeah. Jordan Mickey, the whole crew.
Jordan Mickey's been
I'm excited about that.
Beast. Now, didn't Jordan Mickey, I might be off, LSU fans can correct me, but I think he either won SEC Player of the Week or Player of the Month or something like that. Jordan Mickey's been on fire for the LSU Tigers. He's been, I got to see him play a couple of high school games last Thanksgiving in Dallas when he was playing for Prime Prep, and he was just ridiculous then, and it sounds like he's carrying that right over into the college game.
And you know what, though, Eric? When we saw him last year, I was a little impressed, but I had no idea he was going to do what he's doing now.
Man, me neither. Nobody can say. Well, clearly, Coach Jones, Coach Johnny Jones, must have seen something coming.
So I know you wanted to cover some other things.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about a little baseball news this
yes. Our man, future New York Yankees shortstop and future Baseball Hall of Famer, Derek Jeter. There are not enough good things you can say about him. You know, career batting average right around 300. He has 3,000 career hits. He's the captain. Didn't play a lot last year because of an ankle injury he suffered during the 2012 American League Championship Series against the Detroit Tigers, but that doesn't mean he's not a very fascinating baseball personality, good for the game. And the 39-year-old Jeter, I'll tell you, when he's no longer playing, it's going to be a sad day in baseball. But right now he's playing on the diamond and he's playing off the diamond. A lot of you guys, a lot of you sports junkies who follow some of the talk shows, and for those of you that don't, I'm going to fill you guys in. But Derek Jeter, it was revealed a couple of years ago by the tabloids that when he, he's a bachelor. He's dated some beautiful women, Mariah Carey, for starters, and a host of other hotties, some MTV models. But he's been through more than a bathroom, and you can fill in the blanks on that. But Derek Jeter, apparently, when he's finished, when he's brought a young lady to Casa de Jeter or Castle de Jeter, they always leave with a loving parting gift, a gift basket from Derek Jeter. Now, how player is that, man?
He's putting some pressure on me here.
Oh, man, that's you know,
my game.
Man, the captain's on his game, and he's like I said, the dude's a player on the field and off the field. Well, I'll tell you what. Later, the playerism continues as it was revealed that Derek Jeter. Apparently, if you visit him in his St. Petersburg, Florida home, if you have a cell phone on you, you have to leave it in a basket at the front door.
That's right.
You got to leave your phone in a basket at the front. No pictures.
You might video or take some pictures. Exactly.
Yeah, he ain't trying to have no Brett Favre moments right here, you know, or Greg Oden moments or anything like that. He's keeping his game crispy. Boy. So you put it in the basket on the way in, you get a basket on the way out. And I'm just thinking to myself, I think Tiger Woods, after hearing that, probably has a very opposite policy where you have to leave his phone number in a basket on the way out the door. So, you know, Derek Jeter, man, that dude's a player for real. Woo! Bad man. So, go ahead, Captain Jeter. Want to talk about real quick, let's try to squeeze in, you know, we have Christmas Day coming up, and, of course, the NBA season for a lot of casual fans are maybe moderately heavy to casual fans. The NBA season kind of unofficially starts on Christmas. We have a lot of matchups in the NBA coming up. Tonight we have the Denver Nuggets going to play the LA Clippers. The Clippers are on fire. They've won, as of yesterday, they won 6 of their last 8. I'm not sure if they had anything going on last night. They have a 2.5 game lead over the suddenly revived Phoenix Suns. There's just a resurgence out there on the West Coast, Portland and now Phoenix, but they have a 2.5 game lead on Phoenix in the Pacific Division. The Nuggets would right now be in that 8th spot in the West of the season ended today. Ty Lawson averaging 18 points a game, 8 points per game at point guard. He was hampered by the flu this week, so whether or not he plays, I don't think traveling to LA is going to help their cause any. So I think in that game, I think CP3, who right now is having another career year, 20 points a game, 11 assists a game, 5 rebounds a game, and 2 steals per game, I think the Clippers are going to win that game in the Staples Center.
Man, I just hate that. Every time I hear CP3's name, hate to see that he left New Orleans.
No, that dude should be a Pelican right now, man.
But tell me, man, what about Kobe and you know, that situation? What are your thoughts there?
It's a tough situation, man. I mean, first of all, you know, one of the other Christmas games I was going to mention very briefly was Christmas Day. You're going to have the Miami Heat at the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe Bryant, who just recovered off of a torn Achilles that he suffered late in the regular season last year, came back. He was present. You don't expect him to be a world beater right away. He was averaging 14 points a game, 6 assists per game. Not great, but certainly not dead. But then he fractured a bone in his knee, so now he's out for at least, it was a relatively minor injury. He's not out for the year like Derrick Rose, but he's going to be out for 6 weeks.
Another 6 weeks.
And you know, at 30, you see the 34, 35, I believe he's had his 35th birthday. He has had his 35th birthday by now. You know, it takes longer to recover from injury. It's really, you know, the Lakers just signed him to that 2-year, almost $50 million contract. You know, he's getting paid, but it's going to be a tough time in Lakerland right now.
Do you think this is the last contract?
I don't think it's the last contract if Kobe doesn't want to be, but it's going to be the last $20+ million contract. I think his next one is going to be kind of like you saw with Shaquille O'Neal, where he went down to $10 million, then to and the 2, I think his last contract in Cleveland was with Boston was about $1.5 million, close to $2 million.
Yeah.
And Kobe Bryant knows he's slowing down, and he knows how to help his team in spite of his physical limitations. And while some people like to criticize the man, I think I read Phil Jackson's book about his run with the Bulls and Lakers, and I think Kobe has had a maturity and he knows what he needs to do. But as far as Kobe being a scoring champion, MVP candidate, I don't know. I think we might have seen the last of that, Perry.
Well, folks, according to the clock on the wall, the Louisiana All-American Sports Show is now up. We'd like to thank you all for listening. We really appreciate that. As usual, JNS, ADT, JNS, love you.
And as we always say about this time, have a good afternoon.
And lots of love. Protect us.